Hi, everyone. This is Samantha Rowe from SADA, and we're thrilled to welcome you to today's live stream webinar, where you will once again meet the experts. Today, we're taking a look at Google Slides and how to create, collaborate, and connect in this remote world. At SADA, we've designed these weekly sessions to offer our deepest expertise to you as we all work together in our new remote environments, because there's always something we can learn by using our collaboration tools in our daily lives. This series, called Sweet Bits, showcases our incredible SADA experts and provides some much-needed how-tos around the capabilities of the G Suite portfolio. I learn something new every single week. We hope these sessions will empower you too. You can submit your questions to today's presenter at any point by clicking the link in the description below and typing your questions. We'll get to them at the end of the presentation. These recordings will be available following the live stream on a remote workforce hub known as Cloud Quarters, a new section of our website complete with a growing collection of productivity and collaboration resources just for you. I would now like to introduce our expert for today's session, Corbett Magotra, Senior Change Management Consultant at SADA. Take it away, Corbett.
Thank you, Samantha. As she said, my name is Corbett Magotra. We'll be covering slides today. And without any further ado, let me just go ahead and share my screen with you. Okay. For well over a decade now, I've been helping companies use tools like G Suite to improve their processes and workflows. And we're going to dive right in. Let's stop frightening the small children and go right into our agenda today. So let's get started with Google Slides. We'll go over a couple of different easy ways to not start from scratch, and then talk a little bit about how to customize those slides as well as bring in additional elements to make your slides and your presentation more effective. And then I'll just kind of give you a couple of tips on presenting, make your life easier, and go over how you can work with colleagues or collaborators on legacy platforms as well. So with that, I'll just go straight into the demo. This might look familiar to most of you, either on a personal or professional level. We'll go ahead and start from a Gmail, which is probably familiar. Up in the top right corner, we have a little Rubik's Cube looking thing that's referred to as the Google Apps Launcher. I'll go ahead and click on that, and you'll notice that Slides is one of the options here, but we'll go ahead and launch from Drive. So I'll just click on that and open up a new tab here. And from there, you'll notice the rainbow colored plus sign on the left-hand side of the screen. When I click on that, if I click on the Google Slides, then it's the same thing as if we had opened up a blank presentation directly from the Apps Launcher. But if I move the mouse over to the right, that little arrow there gives us an additional option, and we can go from a template. I'll just show you this. When it opens up the new tab, now we've got a whole slew of different additional templates that give us a starting point, so we're not starting from scratch. You may find that very useful. You can also save these templates for your own in your organization to the left of the General tab. So we'll go ahead and close out of that and go back to a blank presentation though. So to do that, I'll just go to that plus sign again, click on the Google slide, and it opens up a new tab in Slides. And the first thing we'll do is go ahead and name our presentation. So today we're just going to create a training plan. And you'll notice the minute that I hit enter, in the middle of the screen, it's saving it in real time. So you don't have to worry about incorporating your changes. It's done all in real time, saving those as you go, okay? So me being lazy, I'm going to go ahead and invite other collaborators, so I'm not the only one doing the heavy lifting on this presentation. So we'll go ahead and hit that share button in the top right, and then I can look for a colleague. In this case, I'm going to bring in Heather. And she already knows that this is coming, so I don't need to send her a message. I'll just uncheck that so we don't have the message. But what we can do is control her access. So she has, if we want her to have full access the same as I do, then she can be an editor. If we just want her to be able to comment on it or just view it, we can select that option as well. So we'll go ahead and share that. And then you'll notice that below that share button, we've got these additional themes. Once again, this is a way to sort of a quick start that gives you a starting place to brand that presentation. So I'll go ahead and choose this green one. That looks pretty nice. And then now we've got branding, already got a start to our branding. So I'll go ahead and name that presentation to match our file. And since people need to know who the creative genius is behind this, go ahead and assign our name to it as well. And then I'm just going to highlight my name here, and I'll show you that now that I've got the text highlighted, we've got a formatting bar up here at the top. And if I, to the left of the font size, we've got the font option. Now, if I drop that down, there's about 24 different options for different fonts by default. But if at the top, if you select the more fonts, then now we've got access to about 150,000 different fonts. Okay, and you can determine those by language, by the type of font it is, or you've even got popularity or the date, trending, these types of options in order to filter those down as well. And we'll go ahead and exit out of that. So no presentation would be good if it was only one slide. So let's go ahead and add in an additional slide. And in this case, I'm going to show you there's 5 different ways. So everybody count with me. There's 5 different ways. The first one, we'll go ahead and right click, and you'll notice that new slide is an option right there. The second one is to use the hotkey, which in this case is Control-M, or we can go to Insert, and down near the bottom, there's a new slide option. Or we can go to Slide, and right at the top, there's a new slide option. That's 4. And then now the 5th one is this plus sign to the far left of your menu bar. And we'll go ahead and add in a slide here and let everybody know what the agenda is for this presentation that we're creating. So I'll go ahead and add in bullets, everybody's favorite, right? And the first thing that we'll create for them is letting everybody know who's on the team. And the second one, we'll go through and create a schedule for all the classes that we're going to, that team is going to teach. And then the last one, we'll create a chart for the breakdown of classes. Okay, and then we'll go back to adding in a new slide. Now you'll notice this time that plus sign has a drop down to the right of it. Okay, so now we've got different options. If we select the drop down, instead of just adding in an additional slide with the default template, we can select a different one. In this case, I'm going to choose the title only. We'll just give them a breakdown of the team. And what I'm going to do that is create an org chart. So we'll go down to this diagram under the Insert menu option. When I select the diagram, to the far right of the screen, the themes are now covered over with our different options for diagram. I'm going to choose the hierarchy. And I'll go ahead and make it red. Make it super aggressive. And then I can just double click and we'll get the beginnings of our org chart. Okay. And then we said that the next one is going to be the schedule of classes. So we'll go ahead and choose that title only again. And this time we'll go back to our trusty insert option. And we're going to insert a table. So when I highlight over that, now we're given an option for the size of that table that we want to include. In this case, I'm going to do a 4x4. And we'll add in a couple headings here to that table. Start the beginning of that information for that table and the conference room that we'll have it in. And then finally, we'll add in that chart for the breakdown of classes, okay? So we'll go back to our title only. If I can spell. And we'll add in this case, a chart. So now there's 4 different types as defaults that we can select from, but you'll also know that at the bottom of that drop-down menu, there's a From Sheets option. If you've already got a spreadsheet that has data in it that you can pull from to create a chart, then you have that option to select that from there. For our purposes, we're just going to go with the default data, and I'll select the pie chart. We'll just wait for that to be populated. Now you'll notice that in this chart, it already has sample data that's the basis for that chart. Okay, so as I hover over that chart, then you'll see at the top right of that we have the linking options. So I'll open that up, and if we wanted to unlink and just pretty up the chart the way it is, we could do that. But in my case, we're going to open up the source. So that now it's opening up a Google Sheet, and you'll see that that chart is right there. If I scroll up, we can get to the underlying data. Okay, so I'm going to change a couple of these, and we'll make this into our class breakdown. Okay, and the last one. And then we'll rename our chart. If I select that chart, highlight it, now I can select the title and make that match our slide. And then you'll notice that these the vertical ellipses here in the top right corner of that chart gives us more options. You'll notice that that's a common theme between all of the Google tools. When you see that vertical ellipses, it means more options. So you can go ahead and select that, and then now we can edit the chart. So in the right-hand side here, we have customization options. I'll go ahead and collapse this menu. You have different customization options for changing that chart around. I'm going to go to the Setup tab though, and I'm just going to make this into a different style of chart. So rather than 2D, I'm going to make it 3D so that it looks closer to an actual pie. Can anybody tell that I'm hungry? This would be heavenly, I'm sure, if it weren't multicolored like this. So as I select the chart here, you'll notice that when I go back to the presentation, we have an additional button now. So to the left of the linking options, now if I click that update button, now all the changes that we made are updated in real time. But let's say that you have a tough audience or a stickler for a boss, and you need to include that underlying data on the slide as well. Well, then we can come back to the spreadsheet, and I'm just going to select that underlying data, and I'll do Control-C to copy that, and I'll just right-click in that area. The minute that I select Paste, though, now we have this pop-up window that allows us the option of keeping it linked to that spreadsheet or just pasting it unlinked, and I'll just keep that link intact. Now we can drag that over, resize it. All right. And then I'll go back to the spreadsheet just so that let's double the number of docs classes. You notice that the spreadsheet has, or excuse me, the chart has updated. And now I've got an update button on both my chart and my table. And I can update both of those respectively. So now that since this is the most complicated slide by far, I need to get another set of eyes on this and just make sure that I'm not the only one creating this and that errors don't go out. So I'm going to go ahead and include a comment and bring in the collaborator that I asked to join the document and get her eyes on it as well. So I can select this slide, and there's 3 different ways that I can include a comment. The first one is this plus sign with the black background. That's about the midway through the menu bar. And the second one is under our trusty insert menu, and the third is the hotkey. So I'm going to go to the menu bar, and I'll select a comment there, and now you notice that the comment window is popped up, and I'm going to call Heather's attention to this and ask her, hey, how's this? And then I can assign that to her, in which case and she will get an email with a link that brings her back to this document and references this slide with the question here that she can respond to or resolve and address the question that way. Okay, so now that we've got our presentation all constructed, we brought in an additional set of eyes to verify it. Let's talk a little bit about how to present. So the default, obviously, you've noticed this button to the left of the share button up in the top right of the screen. The default is if you are using a single screen or if you're on a projector. But if you're on multiple screens, I would suggest that you use the drop-down instead. And this presenter view can be extremely useful. That brings up a pop-up window. It makes your presentation into the presentation view, but also gives you the pop-up window, which you can drag to your other screen. What that does for you is that gives you access to your speaker notes, which you can create for yourself to help you with your presentation, but it also gives you access to the audience tools, which we're using in this very presentation for you to ask your questions. I'll get out of that and I'll escape. And the other thing that we should mention is if you have collaborators or colleagues that are working on other platforms, then once you're done with your presentation, you can download that into various formats, including PowerPoint, image files, plain text, or PDF. Or you might also find it useful to email it as an attachment. And you can send yourself a copy for an audit trail, include a message, or in the lower left, you have the option. The default is to use a PDF, but you have the option to include a plain text or a PowerPoint file as well as that attachment. Go ahead and cancel out of that. And with that, we'll open this up to questions. Okay, can I put a movie into my presentation? Absolutely, I'll go back to that real quick. Under our trusty insert menu, you have the ability to add in a video right from there. And you could do that from a YouTube link. You could do that from a website URL. Or if you've uploaded it to your Google Drive, you can add that from your drive, one of your shared drives, any of those options as well by using this search bar. Okay, so where do you put your speaker notes? So those would be under your tools option. I believe. Excuse me, sorry. Under the slide option. Well, if you use the presenter view, you can add your speaker notes in from that additional window. And your speaker notes are not visible to everyone, just to address that as well. So that is only for your view as long as you don't have them on the screen that you're sharing. So if you drag those to your additional monitor, your additional screen, then those would not be visible. And as far as importing slides from an existing presentation that you already have created, the easiest way to do that is under the File menu. You have an Import Slides option there. So if you click on that, then you have the ability to search through your Google Drive or upload a presentation there. And once you select one, the next screen will give you the option to choose which particular slides from that presentation you want and select only those. Now, as far as putting transitions into your slides, yes, absolutely you can. That is with the slide menu. If you scroll down near the bottom, there's a transition option there. Once you select that, you can choose which types of transitions you want and add those in correctly. Okay, another question, can I make my own custom background with an image? You can change the background just by right-clicking. And then you choose the image that you want from there. Hopefully that addressed that question. Okay, if I update the data in my chart or table, will those updates be shown in the spreadsheet? Yes, assuming that you click that update button once you've made the changes. So just like we went back to the underlying data in our chart. So let's double this one as well. But once I change that data, then our chart already changes within the spreadsheet. If I go back to the presentation, as long as I click these buttons to update, those changes will be incorporated. Okay, I think that addresses the questions so far. So with that, I'll go back to the presentation. I want to thank everyone for sharing your time with me. And I'll just point out that there's a lot more resources and assets that you can take advantage of on our Cloud Quarters site. It's a new resource portal that we've created on the website. And call your attention, next week we'll be going over in the live stream on Thursday. We'll be going over Google Sheets and taking more of a deep dive into the functions and formulas. And also, I wanted to highlight the fact that Google is making their advanced functionality of their Meet, Drive, and Chat applications available to everyone. And SADA is offering a quick start offer to help you get up and running very quickly with enterprise resources on that. And that's available until September 30th. So with that, thank you so much. I really appreciate you sharing your time with me. And with it, on behalf of everybody at SADA, thank you very much. I know this is a very tough time, and hopefully we're making life a little bit easier. And with that, have a great rest of your day.